A leader has to take the risks.
Well, hello, hello, hello.
Oh, hello.
What is going on? Long time no see.
No, it's been forever. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, amazing, amazing.
Good. Your eyes are so green today.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm just thinking about money. That's all. Just thinking a lot about money. So, no, I'm joking. So how's the weather out there?
It's nice. It's obviously not as cold as most states right now for Christmas, but it's a little brisk outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in Florida, is the weather usually like what is the weather usually like in the wintertime?
I'm used to it actually getting hot on Christmas time and then it gets cold January, February.
Okay. So it's kind of like California a little bit like California.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, let's rock and roll. Excited to be on with you again. It's been a long, long time, but we're going to talk about health and happiness and wealth and all the good stuff that comes along with it. But I know that that you said I heard you say one time you said we need more passion in this world. We need more people willing to put it all on the line, make big dreams come true. We need more people like you. What does that mean to you? Like, why did you say that? And what does that really mean to you?
That's a good question. So I honestly feel like the world is behind on evolution and advancements in a lot of areas. And I think that has a lot to do with the people that are meant to carry out these advancements are too scared to actually put it all on the line and make these changes and be a leader. There's a lot of fear around that and uncertainty. So yeah, that's what I meant by that.
And so let's kind of back up a little bit. I want to you are a branding specialist. You're you do everything, content, design. You're even a carpenter. I mean, how about that for something on your resume? And so you've helped so many brands, and but I really want to start off a little bit with your childhood, and go a little bit further back, and just want to know about, what were you like when you were a little kid? I mean, were you always creative? Were you always trying to, you know, were you always painting and drawing and trying to build things? Was that you?
Yeah, so I was really quiet as a kid. I would sit back and watch everybody. I didn't start talking till I was 3 or 4, actually. So my parents thought something was wrong with me, but I just wanted to observe and watch. I love to people watch, and that's how I learn. As far as like creativity, that was pulled out of me out of necessity because we didn't have a lot of toys or things to play with as a kid. So I would just make things, make up games. I made a teeter totter when I was about 5 or 6 for me and my sister to play on. So just being creative came out of a necessity, really.
And did like who got you on that road to spirituality? Because I know that you're obviously God and faith plays a huge piece of in your life. Who led you to that?
So we always grew up in church as children. My parents always brought us to church every Sunday. Me and my sisters actually sang on the church choir for many years, and I kind of fell away from God and religion for a long time. Once my mom passed away, I just thought God must not be real. I prayed to Him. I thought a miracle was going to happen, and I lost her, so it must not be real. And I just started doing my own thing and not praying, not believing. And God kind of chased me down with sign after sign. I'm trying not to cry right now, but I'm really thankful that He did.
What happened and how old were you?
Um, so when my mom passed away, I was 20 years old. And that was kind of like my first experience as an adult. And I was just a little bit lost and unsure of what to do or what to believe in because everything I had believed in up until that point felt fake because I lost her. And then when my son was born, that is when everything changed for the better. And God started really showing me signs through my son as well, which I think children are such a miracle for that reason. But I was around 24, 25 when I kind of had no other choice but to turn back to God. You hit rock bottom, and who else can you turn to? There's no one else around. So I started asking God, just show me what to do. I obviously have nothing to lose. God, show me what to do and how to do it, and I'll be there for it.
Do you think that a lot of people go through that and that feeling of, is this real? Is God real? Why is this happening to me? Do a lot of people feel like that?
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of smart people also question religion and Christianity because analytical thinkers can't understand the why behind it or the how does it work. So growing up in church, I used to think people were faking it when they would start crying in church or going up to the altar to pray. I used to be like, oh my gosh, they're putting on a show for everybody. But as I matured in my faith, I realized how powerful it really is.
And is this something that you're raising your son to believe in as well? I mean, is this, do you guys attend church often?
You know, I don't go to church every Sunday. I've yet to find a church that I love, and I'm not a huge fan of churches, as crazy as that sounds. I love God. I love Jesus Christ. I don't always love the church, but I think that's something I'm still working through to figure out where I feel at home when it comes to all of that. But yeah, me and my son, we pray multiple times a day together. We talk about God all day long together. He has questions all the time about it, and I try to answer them to the best of my ability, but I'm still learning and growing in my faith as well. So we research things together.
And well, I resonate with that a lot because I felt the same way, throughout a lot of my life. I felt like church wasn't, I didn't feel like I had to go to church to be connected with God. I always felt like I was connected with God. I always talked to God like he was my friend, like he was, I always tried to be close to him. I tried to make sure I included him in my life. I talked to him. I prayed every single day. So there's no question God has always been a part of my life. But the church thing, it never, I felt like I never needed to go to church. And then I started to think, and I've had these thoughts, and maybe give me your thoughts about it, but I've had these thoughts over the last several years, thinking that it's the connection with the people inside the church that I think is so critical. And also I've been studying, of course, longevity. I'm going to live till 120 at least. And
Amen.
so I've always studied longevity and health and things like that. And one of the most important things when it comes to health, so not only just being in a circle of spiritual people is good for us, but health wise, being a part of a circle, being a part of a social situation is just so healthy for us. And so, but I do get what you're talking about, and I always felt that way too. And so, but when you think about your journey into your field, and obviously being a creative, you are a creative. This was inevitable, right? I mean, you had to do something creative in your life. I mean, this is what fuels you. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always said I would be an artist when I was little. And my dad used to say, artists don't make money. Don't be an artist, choose a different career. So I started saying I wanted to be an architect. But I really wanted to prove him wrong that artists can make money. And so I had to get creative with how I used my love for art. And that is when I fell into branding. Well, graphic design first, which led me to branding.
And so how did you learn how to do the things that you're doing? I mean, what makes you the expert? Why should people listen to you? Maybe talk about some friends that you've worked with, and maybe how you've influenced them in a good way.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so because I was such an observer as a child, I always wanted to understand the mind as well. So I had that creative side, but I love psychology. And I was homeschooled most of my life growing up. So we had lots of college level psychology books and science books. And I would study the psychology side of the brain and also compare it to what I would notice other companies are doing online with the colors that they're using, or the keywords that they're saying, or the repetitiveness of their tagline, so on and so forth. So just understanding the psychology behind the design was really interesting to me. And I noticed that not a lot of designers talked about that. This was long before the rise of social media. And then when social media and Instagram became a big thing, I found so many people that preached about psychology and design. And I was like, oh, they get it. They understand this is a thing. So I'm not just crazy. So I love infusing the psychology side of things. As far as the clients that I've worked with, so I've worked with so many different types of clients, big corporations, personal brands. One of the big names that most people might know of is Brad Lee. He's been a client of mine for 5 or 6 years now, and he sends me a lot of his colleagues. So that's always been an amazing connection to have. And I always say that over delivering for your clients is the key, because then they'll send their friends to you.
So people want to use you over and over and over again because you get it done, right? I mean, you got to be a person of your word. You got to do what you say you're going to do, and you got to over deliver. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I will say that we're all human. There's been many times I can think of where I dropped the ball. And anytime I've dropped the ball, I say, hey, I dropped the ball. How can I make this better? And that's really important, is owning up to your mistakes and doing what you can to fix them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well said. Well said. And why is it that, I mean, do you think that, I mean, I don't know, you've dealt with a lot of people throughout the years, and, you know, you've dealt with managers and people and associates. Do you feel like, because you say that with such certainty, you got to own up when you make a mistake, do you feel like a lot of people don't own up for their mistakes, and they probably should?
You know, yes. Yes, absolutely. And I've also noticed a lot of times as a service provider, the finger gets pointed at you all the time for the mistake. And I sometimes have to just eat that and say, you know what, you're right. Even though I notice other people miss the ball too, I'll take it, I'll eat it, I'll accept it, and I'll do better. And that's been a huge learning lesson for me the last 3 or 4 years, is just owning up to it, even when I don't feel like it was my fault. How can I make it better?
All right. So Elon Musk said to his advertisers to F off. What was that a good thing?
I think he's at a level where he can, for sure. He can say whatever he wants to whoever he wants. And I love the way he stands behind what he believes in, and he's unapologetically himself. I think that is so cool. I relate to Elon Musk in so many ways.
So who would you like to say F off to right now in front of everybody?
You know, nobody. I'm so thankful to anybody that's been in my life, any clients, even when we don't get along or it doesn't work out the way I wanted it to, I'm learning something. And so I have no animosity or hard feelings towards anybody. And I really, really mean that. And it took me a long time to get to that point, because I'm a fire sign. I've got a lot of ego and fire inside where I just want to burn people down when they do me wrong. But I've learned that it's so much more peaceful to just accept everyone as they are, forgive them, and forgive myself too for my own faults. So yeah, nobody. I love everybody.
Well, I don't know if you love everybody, but that's okay. I get what you're saying. It sounds good for the podcast. But look, I get where you're coming from. I totally get you, because I'm a fire sign too, right? I'm a Sagittarius, so I feel like I am. In my journey in life, it's about letting things go. This is the thing that, man, revolutionized my life over the last several years, is just to let shit go. You know, I mean, there's too much banter and conversations could go on forever in relationships and friendships and business relationships. I mean, they could just go on forever, and you could fight about the same shit forever and never get over it. And I think, to me, I want to be that person that just says, you know what? It's all good. Let's just let it go. You know, I mean, we can agree to disagree on this situation. We agree on a lot of things. We just might not agree on this particular situation. Let's just get past it. Let's move forward. Let's keep going. Let's, create a great life. I mean, and I think more people, and I read the book, Untethered Soul, and that was the book that really opened my eyes to having this feeling in my heart, like, let's let it go. I was a fighter. I mean, I think a little bit about my story, but I got in trouble growing up. I was a bad boy growing up. I'd gotten a lot of fights, and I never wanted to let anything go. And I think I took that into my life, and in some ways it's a good thing. I mean, you got to be a fighter for what you believe in. So there's no question it helped me in my life, but it also hurt me, because it hurt certain relationships and friendships and business relationships. For sure, I could have done a better job at some of those things. Do you feel any of that?
Absolutely. I was just talking to my dad about this last night, because I was a fighter too growing up. I got in a lot of fights in high school. And even as an adult, I'm so quick to speak my mind. If somebody does me wrong, if they make my coffee wrong at the coffee shop, I'll be like, what is wrong with you guys? How can you not get this right? But in the last 2 years, I've learned like you said, to just let it go, because it gives me the peace inside. And everybody's human, everybody's focusing on different things. So let them do them. I'm going to do me. It's okay. But one experience that really brought this out of me was politics. Everything that's happening right now in the political arena, it really makes me angry inside. And I would get in these debates with people online, and I just realized I'm not going to change their mind. It's okay. Let them believe what they want. And I need to focus on bigger goals and dreams to help change the things I don't like in this world. And that's my job.
Well, Trump is also another brand, speaking of brands. So he's one of those brands that, literally, there are people that will take his picture off the wall, even though they love Trump, even though they think he's a total stud and he changed America for the better while he was here. They'll take his picture off the wall because they don't want to have those conversations with people. I'll give you a quick story. I was golfing one time, and I have a head cover, and it's just basically on my golf club, and it says "Make America Great Again." And I'm unapologetic about telling people that I believe that he did the country right, and I believe in the guy. And this guy would not ride with me because of this little like "Make America Great" head cover for my golf clubs. And it's so amazing. Like people, it's such a dividing situation that's going on in America. And so from a branding standpoint, obviously he's done a good job. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he doesn't waver on what he believes in, and the things that he says, he stands behind them boldly. He's authentic. I think that is the best way to be any kind of personal brand, is be authentically you. I agree. He's done the country good in so many ways. And it's a shame that we can't be more vocal and honest about what we feel and think because of the backlash, especially when we're in business. I've gone back and forth in my mind a lot about what I'll post online and what I won't, because I don't know what my clients believe in. And so if I'm posting XYZ, do they now hate me? You know what I mean? So I always have been riding that middle line. And that is what inspired the Voy idea, the app that I'm developing, is to be able to really say what you think and feel, and with the opportunity to remove your identity from it and still share.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, so it's a voice streaming app, short form voice clips, and you have the option to be anonymous, or you can put your identity to it and people can follow along with your voice streams or chat in clouds, depending on if you invite them into that cloud. So yeah.
And is AI going to be able to detect who we are?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So eventually they're going to know our voice, right? And so AI is going to be like, well, that's Daniel Alonzo talking about Donald Trump again.
So yeah, no, there's some cool functionalities to get around that. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about the functionalities of the app. But there's some cool tools on the app where you can say what you feel and people would never know it was you. But on the back end, being able to analyze that data on the tones of our voices, the keywords that we're using, that's really what I want to create the app for, is analyzing the data side of things. But we can't analyze the data accurately if we're not being real about what we think and what we feel. How are we ever going to continue the evolution of understanding the human brain if we're just all keeping our thoughts inside? Because we all have really interesting things going through our head, I should say. And sometimes we're scared to talk about it.
And so it is tricky. And I know a lot about that because I live in California, which is Hollywood. Yep. And Hollywood is, it's interesting because I know a lot of actors in Hollywood, and I talk to them outside of Hollywood, and they all will say that they believe that Trump, or they believe in these policies or whatever, the right side of the coin. They believe in these things, but when they go into Hollywood, they have to completely change that. They have to completely say that I believe in the left, even though they might be bad policies. They believe, and they're altering their thoughts because they don't want to be canceled.
Yeah, I think all of the things that we keep in the dark always have to come to the light, and that's our inner thoughts included. So I too shy away from my honest beliefs in politics because of my son. So he went to a school where it was mostly liberals. And so I felt like he was being targeted because if they looked me up online and saw the things I was posting, then they would treat him a different way. And I just got an inner feeling to kind of shy away from that. But shying away from that leads to other people not understanding what's really happening in the world. And so we just have to be more bold about it, but we need a platform to do that.
Yeah, no, I love that. So do you have a name for the app?
Yeah, it's VOI, VOI, short for voice.
Voy.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so when's it coming out?
January 2025.
Really? Okay. All right. Excited about that. And we'll definitely have you back on so that way we can launch, help to launch it. I'd love to be a part of that. I'd love to hear more about that and see that become a reality. So, because there's no question, I think that you're on the right track. There's no question that people want a voice. People want to talk about what they believe in. And if they could do it in an anonymous way, why not? And I think where you're going with this too is the people that are that are, maybe it's the media or just even the research behind what people really want. We could analyze that, right? Is this kind of where you're going? Like, we could really analyze what people really want, like take real polls. It's like a real idea of what people think, right?
Absolutely. The studies that you pull up online, they're all being placed there for really specific reasons. The articles you pull up online, none of it can really be trusted because it's all being manipulated for certain narratives. And if we can really say what we really truly feel and think, yes, we can analyze that data on a whole new level. And I think there's a lot of people that have weird thoughts that go through their head and they might not understand them, but if we can connect with other people that have those same weird thoughts, we can start to understand, why is this thought going through my head at this time on this day? Maybe someone in China thought of the same thing at this time on, you know what I'm saying? Just connecting the thoughts without the fear attached to it.
So talk about fear. So when's the next COVID going to happen?
Yeah, right. I've been hearing that it's already another strands floating around. I don't know. It's just so interesting that they can make up a whole sickness and change the whole world overnight like that. It's crazy to me.
So how many times were you thrown out of Starbucks? I would say at least 5 times for me.
Never. I've never been thrown out, but there's a Starbucks I don't go to as often because I had to call them to tell them how bad of a job they do.
Well, I'm talking about in 2020 when you try to walk into somewhere and your mask is not perfectly above your nose, or your mask is not perfectly being worn. And I guess it wasn't as bad in Florida, so you guys, it was probably a little easier in Florida, but for us out here in California, it was madness, ridiculousness that you couldn't get air, right? They didn't want you in social situations, which is bad for your health. You're supposed to be around people. And number 2, they wanted to control your air. And so I mean, when did we get to this madness where, I mean, you get to a point where people are completely ignoring the fact that, number 1, you need sun as a human being. You need sun, you need social interactions, and you need air. And they're trying to block those things. I think a kid in high school somewhere passed out because they made him run a race with his mask on.
Yeah. So this is actually a huge issue. I actually had an issue with my son's school because when he actually started school when COVID first started, he was in first grade. So it was his first experience in school and everyone's in masks. Long story short, he got in trouble on the playground for not having his mask on outside on a playground. They took away his privileges. And I wrote the longest email to the principal. I said, how dare you tell my son to put a mask on outside in fresh air? And ever since then, I felt like he was being targeted at the school because I spoke up about that. So I think that bringing it back to your question, it has a lot to do with psychology. So what they do is they manipulate emotions to make us not focus on logic. And so they show you all of these scenes of people dying in the hospital, and they make you feel guilty if you don't get the shot, if you don't put the mask on. And they know that most humans have a good heart. We're mostly empathetic. And so we want to do what's right. And so they pull at the emotional heartstrings. It's a common marketing tactic that they do across all platforms and all companies. They pull at the heartstrings.
And so what do you think? I mean, I'm just curious because I mean, you're really thoughtful in a lot of the things that you talk about. And of course, I follow you every day. I watch all your stuff. And I think that, you're very thoughtful. And so why do you think this is happening? What is there, do you believe that there is this new world order that they're trying to bring to us, and they're trying to get us to fall in line like good little soldiers so that way they can control us better in the future? I mean, what the heck is going on? Like, why, like what rational human being would make some of the decisions that they're making? I mean, why would they open the borders? I mean, 10,000, I think 11,000 illegals came into the country just yesterday. So there's probably going to be another 10,000 to come in today. So that's 10,000 people that we don't even know who they are that are coming through our border every single day. They're making these policies. They're making these decisions that are completely horrible for America. Like, why would they be doing these things?
That's such a good question. And, none of us will ever know the full details of the answer, but I would say not new world order, but one world order. And if they can so the difference between all the different countries and different customs and cultures is we believe differently. We live our lives differently, all in different countries, right? If they can get us all under one umbrella to follow the same tactics and the same mind control, they have an army now of workers to do what they say. It's a huge fleet that they've created. Instead of the division of the borders, now they have a huge fleet of one world order, one mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, I mean, to me, it's tragic, and it's really interesting because we got this world that we're living in now where it's just okay now. I mean, everything is just okay. And so they look at a state like Florida. So DeSantis, I think, has done a great job in Florida. But you look at a country like a state like Florida that has done so incredibly well throughout that COVID little piece of time. They did so well, and then they're just going to bring it back, and they're going to do the same. They're going to make the same bad choices. They're going to shut down the same people, the same restaurants. I mean, you got to be kidding me. We're going to go through the same thing again. And the reason, like, I think the reason has to do with just money. I mean, it's just big pharma. They want to get people scared again. It's kind of like the flu shot, right? Every single year, people were told you need a flu shot. I never got a flu shot, and I never got sick. But yet everybody that I knew got the flu shot. They were always getting sick all the time. So it's just like, how are people so blindly doing the things that the government or big pharma or the commercials or whatever, they just fall in line? Like, the branding, the manipulation, the psychology behind all of this stuff is so powerful. And we're talking about branding. We're talking about how to build our own brands. We can take some of these things that they're doing and throw them into our own personal playbooks. I mean, can we?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't recommend that. I think your point of money is accurate, and it's going to be the one type of currency. That is why I think they're merging the borders, creating uncertainty in the world. Think about it. When you don't know if we're going to have a World War III tomorrow, are you going to dream big? Are you going to chase big goals? Are you going to try to fight against anything? Are you going to try to make change? No, we don't know what tomorrow brings. And that's the kind of manipulation psychology that they're doing to people, is you don't even know if you can make it to next week because we don't know if a new COVID's going to hit, if a bomb's going to, you know what I'm saying? It's the uncertainty leads us to lack of action. And also most of us are stuck in a hamster wheel of needing the income of our 9 to 5. And so you can't speak up online. I have a lot of friends, when I would speak up a lot on my Facebook, they would write me and say, thanks for saying that, because I'd lose my job. And I used to feel so bad for them that they literally can't say what they feel. And then I started copying that tactic and not saying what I felt, because I thought I was losing clients because of it. And so it's that fear that leads back to the money that we all need to survive. We need the job, we need the clients, right? So we're not going to speak up because we don't want to rub anybody the wrong way, so on and so forth. So it leads to that ripple effect.
And so it's almost like we're in a never-ending cycle with just the way that they're, I mean, because I think Pharma, big Pharma, hundreds of billions of dollars by people getting that shot. So of course they're going to want, I mean, they wanted little kids, 5 years old, to get the shot. Like, how does that make sense? I mean, it was like zero chance that they're going to die of COVID. And ultimately, I mean, most of the people that died, I still personally, I still question a lot of the results that they got on as many people that died due to COVID. They were paying, if I'm not mistaken, they were paying doctors basically more money when they would, declare that the person died of COVID. They would get more money versus if they didn't die of COVID. So of course, people were fighting and they were saying, wait a minute, this person didn't die of COVID, but they checked that box, they died of COVID, so they got more money. Do you remember that happening?
Oh, absolutely. And I believe that they do that with all kinds of studies. Is they're paying the person putting up the study, they're paying them to create specific results that lean more towards the outcome that they want. And so you can't trust studies, you can't trust numbers anymore. It's actually interesting because science is proving that there's markers in our voice that can detect sickness. And I won't go into too much more detail about that, but yeah, look up the studies on that if we can believe them. But there's new scientific results about voice linking to sickness. And so if we can study our voice more, nobody can manipulate that data to say XYZ. It's just concrete data through our voice streams.
Good stuff. Well, I know we kind of went off on a tangent right now, but I love it because I love talking about things that to wake people up. I think people need to be woke. Everybody says, everybody's going woke. Well, I think that we do need to wake up in a good way, in a different way, not woke like we got to put together all these policies that make no sense just because. I mean, look at Disney. Disney's getting killed right now. Their stock price, their market share, I think $200 billion. They're down on their market share because they just went the wrong direction. But I think people need to wake up when it comes to, number one, you gotta know what you believe in. Like you said, we got to become authentic to what we believe. Even though I know that people will criticize me if I put stuff online, if I, tell my true beliefs online, I know I'm going to get criticized. I'm criticized all the time. And that's okay with me, because what I do know is there's a lot of people that believe in what I believe too. Yes. There's a lot of people that they go, wait, I didn't know Daniel thought like that. Okay, I like him a little bit better because he thinks like this. And I want people to see the manipulation that's going on with mainstream media. The mainstream media, they're hurting people. It's lies, it's BS. And if we don't wake up and start, voting correctly, I think, it's kind of scary to me to what's happening. I just watched this movie, and shoot, I can't remember the name of it, but it just came on Netflix. But there's this movie. It's Leave
the World Behind.
Yes. Julia Roberts. Did you watch that?
Yes, I did.
I mean, this is it right here. I mean, what a great movie that spells out exactly what the government and this whole one world order. I believe that they're trying to really break apart America, really create this division amongst America, because America is divided 50-50 right now. What happens? They're trying to take Trump off the ballot. And then, so now DeSantis is like, hey, I want to, we need to start taking Biden off the ballot. So what happens if, like, you got all these states that take Biden off the ballot, and you got all these states that take Trump off the, I mean, this could be pretty, I don't know, like, do we get to a civil war or something like that?
Yeah, I think that everything that unfolds in life leads us to new beginnings. And so I have faith that more people than let on are waking up to the lies of society. They're not all being vocal about the fact that they notice it, but like you said, a lot of people agree with what we believe in. Now it's going to lead to a shift in how we live. And so the pushing of vaccines, the COVID breakouts, the World War scare, I think it's going to push us as a society as a whole towards more organic living, towards more farm life, towards more authentic connection, because we have nowhere else to go but there, right? When things kind of blow up, it leaves an open room for a new beginning. And I think that it's the new beginning we all need, but we can't all see the light at the end of the tunnel. I happen to be able to see it because I have faith. I just know everything done in dark comes to light, and it all leads to fresh beginnings. And so whatever's about to unfold, it's meant to happen. It's frustrating to go through and to witness it. And we all kind of want to help in some way, at least the leaders do. But sometimes it really is out of our hands. It's things that have to unfold to push us into new directions.
So you're like a law of attraction person. Like, you believe in law of attraction and frequencies and vibration and energy. Do you believe in all that stuff?
Yeah, and it's hard because I'm also a Christian, and not a lot of Christians like to talk about those kinds of things. So yes, I 100% believe in energy and balance, law of attraction. And I've noticed that we tend to attract the negative so much quicker than the positive, than the big dreams. The negative things that go through our mind manifest overnight sometimes, but the big dreams and the positive things we want to create, they take a little more time. And so it's really about training your brain to consistently go back to the positive, even though we see nothing but negative around us or negative thoughts flowing through our head. Discipline the brain.
It's kind of like like looking for the silver lining. For me personally, I try to look for the silver lining in every bad situation. I try to say, okay, what can I get good at it? I mean, look, I'm the guy that gets up. Great things always happen to me, right? Today's going to be a great day. It's going to be an awesome, amazing, incredible day. That's my mindset. And I feel like now, of course, every day's not perfect. I still got a flat tire the other day. Shit happens. I mean, my life's not perfect. I've been through, relationship issues and all that kind of stuff, everything. But the truth is, I still get up and I still say great things always happen to me. And today's going to be an amazing day because what's my alternative? What I'm going to sink into a black hole and feel sorry for myself all day. I mean, what are you going to do? You just got to get up. You got to keep fighting and you got to keep moving forward.
Absolutely. And we have to continuously train our brain to way more on the positive side. I used to always be positive, so much so that people thought I was crazy. And it wasn't until I got older and bad things started happening in my life that I turned more on the negative side. And so now, even though I'm positive, negative things still go through my head, fears, worries. I literally was crying earlier this morning because I felt all this worry and stress and fear. And I had to open up the Bible and remind myself, what do I believe in? Who's here to protect me, right? And that just pulls the fear away, pulls the worry away, and gets my mind back on the positive side. So yeah, consistency and positivity compounds into miracles.
So what's something that has happened to you, like, that's been emotionally challenging in your life? Like, what's one of the biggest challenging situations through, and how did you overcome it?
I think it was when my mom passed away. That's probably been the biggest one. And I'm still going through the motions. It's been over a decade. As weird as that sounds, I'm still like healing from it and releasing the pain of that. And then I lost my dog recently to cancer. So that pulled out a lot of emotions from losing my mom to cancer. And I felt like I had to go through that experience again to continue purging the negativity I was feeling about my mom, and then before my dog passed away, we had a house fire. And so it was one thing after another I felt like was just really hitting me hard. And I had to take a step back and remind myself that these things unfold to push us in new directions, to teach us new lessons, to help us purge the negativity we have inside or the sadness we're holding on to. When you lose everything, you realize those things really didn't matter. The things you're working to attain have no value. It's about what you're learning inside on the process. And that sounds corny, but it's so true.
So what do you think? And I get it. I totally get it, because it's just a mindset game. My second book, I'm almost finished with. I'm actually finished with it. I'm just putting on all the, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But it's how to have a badass mindset like the wealthy. And it's just all about mindset. It's 11 principles of mindset, like gratitude and resilience and focus and clarity and things like that. And so, but it's amazing to me. And this book is a little bit different in the sense that I take a look at a lot of really successful people. I take a look at their lives and how did they apply it, soccer players and tennis players and business moguls, and even people that just started small businesses that became really, really successful. And I think that it always comes down to that mindset, right? It's just a decision. And hopefully people that are listening right now or watching, hopefully, because we're all going through shit. I promise you, right? I don't care how good somebody looks on their Instagram and how good we brand them. We set up the beautiful website. Everybody is going through stuff and challenges and turmoil and fears and uncertainty. And I just want you to know that it's okay and you're normal.
Yes.
Right? It's normal. Can you speak to that?
Amen. It's so interesting because I was on the phone with my father last night, and he tends to be really negative. And I was telling him about all my big dreams and goals and my app idea, and he kind of tries to knock me down a little bit with his reality. And I had to remind him, anybody that's done big things has been pounded by failure. And one thing he said to me was, "You said 10 years ago you were going to make it. Look at you now." And I said, "Dad, but 10 years ago, I'm light years from where I was 10 years ago. And the fact of the matter is, I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop." Anybody who's gotten to big places has hit failure, has hit roadblocks, has hit uncertainty, the fear, the tears, all of it. And they keep going despite that. That is what true faith really is. It's knowing no matter what I'm going through in this moment, God has promised me the visions he's given to me in my head. And it is my job to continue walking towards it, no matter what gets in my way. And that's faith.
That's it. It's ask and you shall receive, right? But it's not ask one time and then, it's going to show up tomorrow. It's like, you got to keep asking, and then you got to put that asking into action. You got to turn it into actual, working and doing the hard stuff and staying focused and also being grateful. I think being grateful for where we're at in this moment. If I'm grateful right now, I go, man, I'm so lucky. I'm so healthy. I have so many opportunities just sitting right in front of me. And I know a lot of people, they like to listen to this kind of stuff. And then they, we'll get comments. Oh, you're just, it's just a bunch of BS and you're just trying to motivate everybody. And you're just trying. But see, what people don't understand is that I started my business at 21 years old. I was financially free by 28. I had saved my first $1 million. I was making $500,000 a year in passive income at 28 years old. And I did all of that because I had this, seriously, everything that they told me, my mentors told me, anybody could have said that was bullshit. Right? Anybody on the outside looking in, there would have been like, come on, this guy's lying to you. He's just trying to motivate you. He's just trying to tell you what you want to hear. He's just trying to make off of you. He's just trying to get something out of you. But thank God I was this dumb, little naive little kid, 21 years old, and I believed it hook, line, and sinker. I just believed it. And it was out of this belief that because I believed so much, I was just like, okay, I'll do it. And they said, do this. And I said, oh, okay. As long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, I'll do it. Just tell me what to do. I'll do it. And I did it. And I did it. And I did it. And then I woke up and I was, financially free. And I've been living like that for 20 years now. And but people, they make fun of that, or they try to poo-poo that. And I go, dude, you don't get it, right? I mean, you don't get it. It's the law of attraction. It's whatever you believe with intensity, purpose, courage, passion is ultimately going to become your reality. It's just there. I mean, believe in God, that makes it even, I believe it's going to happen even more because of that, because if you got God's favor on your side, right? I mean, come on, what's not possible?
Exactly.
Through him, it's all possible, right? So go ahead. I'm sorry.
You should have no fear knowing that God is by your side and going to guide you along the way. And like you said, having gratitude through the storm is really key to manifesting those big things, because why would you be given more if you're not thankful for what you already have? I remember when the house fire happened, I got into a really negative mindset thinking, why did these things happen to me? And I started listing all the things I still have, all the ways I can still climb out of that hole. And that completely removed the weight of the fear and uncertainty that house fire brought for us. And just having faith through the storm. What you said as well, being young and quote unquote naive and just believing wholeheartedly, there's a power in the faith of children. That's why it says in the Bible, have faith like a child, because they have yet to experience the setbacks, the heartbreak, the roadblocks. And so what else can they do but believe? They know nothing else but to believe in it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's so cool to see your journey and to see all the things you've achieved along the way, because it inspires me as well. And I also think that sometimes we want really big things, but maybe we're not ready for it yet. And that's how I feel on my journey is I want to be a billionaire. I want to have this huge app to be released, but I have to do the work to be prepared for the blessing of that. And if I'm not ready for it, it's not going to be mine. And so if it hasn't happened yet, that means you still have a little work to do inside. And that's okay. That's what we're here for.
And you're young. Come on, let's be honest. I mean, you're young. You got energy. You're vibrant. I mean, you have a lot of followers. You have a lot of people following you. You have a lot of people engaged with you. And so what are some okay, let me just put it this way. Okay, so you got all these people on social media right now. Tell me a couple of things, in your opinion, that they're doing wrong, and how can they fix it?
I think that a lot of people don't show up enough to talk about what they really think and how they can really help. And I can be included in that scenario. Sometimes I'm not as active on social media. And if I were more active, I would probably get more leads, more clients. But sometimes I feel like my plate is full enough that I don't have to show up. But I think that if we continuously have the consistency of showing up online and doing it authentically to talk about, first of all, what we believe in and feel, and second of all, how we can help people, then we can attract the right audience, the right tribe to support us on our journey and to buy our products and services. I think that some people try to be too polished, and that leads to lack of creating the content because you want it to be perfect, when really we should just be creating just to connect.
Yeah, I think too, and I totally get that. I think people are not consistent enough in putting lots and lots of content out. I mean, I grew my audience through putting out a lot of content, and I've kind of slowed down after time, but 2024 is going to be my year. I'm going to really ramp it up and make sure that I put out, more content. I mean, there was a time where I was putting out 5 pieces of content a day. And so I want to get back to that, where I am, doing 5 pieces of content, and then I'm doing like 20 reels, 20 stories at least every single day. And there was a time that I was doing that. And I think that if people want to get this thing moving in the right direction, they have to get seen. I think people they're just afraid to be seen. They're afraid to, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they don't put a lot of content out, and I'm like, why? And they said, well, every time I put something out, somebody says something negative, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And I said, look, I love the haters, man. I actually enjoy when people say bad things about me. I don't know if it's just a sickness that I have or it's weird in my brain or whatever, but like I get excited, right? Because I love telling, I love giving them a little praying hands. I'm like, thanks for watching. I really appreciate your thoughts. And I tell them so like they're really mean to me. And then I'm like really nice to them. So, most of the time. And it's just because I think people just want to be heard, and they just want to be heard. They just want to hear themselves being mean, and that's okay. But I think for me, if I just get up every single day and I always ask myself, like, what value can you bring people? Like, what do people want to know? Like, what can you share that would be, interesting to them? I want to be entertaining. I want to be interesting. I want to give value. This is my goal for what I'm doing on social media. So tell me some of your goals for 2024 and how you're going to get them done.
Yeah, so for 2024, I'm kind of pulling back to work on the app because it's supposed to be launching in 2025 and I have a lot of work to do with that. We're holding investor meetings in January for that and focusing on the app idea, rebranding my social media marketing company. So it's St. Pete Social, but we're rebranding to Social in Your City. And this way we can reach more cities and have more divisions with leaders to open up, use our same processes, but open up agencies in other cities. So Miami Social, Tampa Social, St. Pete Social, so on and so forth under the Social in Your City umbrella. So those are my two main goals for 2024 is to get those two off the ground. And then I'm writing 2 books as well, but they're not like autobiographies by any means. They're kind of more just passion projects.
Okay. So what are you going to write about? What
so
is that?
One of them is called Downpour of a Young Mind and Her Paper Umbrella, and it's geared towards being a series, kind of like Harry Potter series, but about spirituality and kind of like with a sprinkle of magic in there, with a specific character set. So that's one of the books, and the other one is The Why Behind It All, and it's focused on bringing big problems that we all notice in the world and simplifying it down to the most common denominator of why. Why is this happening? So yeah, that's that.
So can you give me an example? Like what's one of the whys that you'll be talking about?
Why do people believe in God would be one of the main ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you think people believe in God?
I think that people have to have something to look forward to, something to keep them going, something to support their dreams and goals and give them hope. Without hope, we don't take action. But it can be so much simpler than that. And it goes down a rabbit hole. So I'm not going to say too much more about that.
All right. So look, Elaina, this has been so much fun. It always is fun hanging with you. And, as we kind of wind down, I had one other question. I just want to know, like, your younger self, because, you've grown so much through these years. And, I mean, are you like, what would you tell that younger self? Like, what advice would you give your younger self?
Definitely not to seek approval from others so much. And nobody's going to see or feel your vision as deeply as you see it and feel it, and to keep going despite that. And definitely to remember to turn to God through it all.
Well, look, we want to get a hold of you. So we want to know, we got investors out there. We got, people that need a new website. They need new branding. They need to figure out their colors. They need to get all this stuff done. How do they reach out to you? Where do they find you? And, how does that work?
Yeah, the best place to find me is elainamitchell.com, ELAINA Mitchell.com. stpetesocial.com is my social media marketing company. And I also have a podcast, passionandpersistence.com. You can find me on Instagram at elaina.mitchell.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So, well, thank you so much for being, and everybody that's watching or listening right now, please do me a favor, reach out to Elaina. Just tell her thank you, say thank you for your authenticity today, for the value that you brought to the table. We want to get to know you. We want to be a part of your journey. We want to see you grow. We're going to be rooting for you. We're going to be, cheering you on at every level. And we want to continue to get to know you. So we're gonna reach out. So everybody, make sure you reach out, say hello. We're gonna buy your books. We're gonna get your app. We're gonna do all that kind of stuff. and we're going to wish you the best. So look, for everybody that is always on, thank you so much for being a part of Wealth on the Beach podcast. I think this is, like, we've had over 250 episodes now. We're going strong, and we've had so many wonderful guests, talking about health, wealth, and how to have a better life, man. I want to see people, live their dreams of freedom and choices and options and wealth to a degree that leaves you at a place where your mind is free of not having to worry about money, not having to worry about that paycheck, but to be able to be free, like, be at a position where all your bills are paid on the first of the month, and you don't have to worry about buying that whatever it is that you want to buy for your kids, or go on that trip, or create that memory, or whatever that dream that you have, so that you can live your wealth on the beach. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is living your best, most exciting, most memorable life. Because look, I think especially around the holidays here, you guys got to realize that, man, it ain't about all this stuff that you're buying. It's about creating memories. I just, got a Lakers suite for my parents and sister and my kids. And, and I for a Lakers game in January for Christmas, and I got it for all of them for Christmas. So instead of buying them a t-shirt or giving them a gift card or something like that, I wanted to create a memory. And that's my goal for the rest of my life, is to create as many memories, to visit as many countries, to meet as many people as I possibly can, because that really is what life is about. New car, yeah, it's fun for a few days. A new watch is cool until it breaks. But the memories, man, they live on, and they're forever. And so hopefully you guys are continuing to dream bigger than ever, continuing to get after it, put that work, and have faith that it's all going to happen, that you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to to really genuinely help people, like do what's right for people, and everything great's going to happen to you. But you just got to have that right belief and faith, and God's on your side, man. Just know that God is on your side. I love you guys. I appreciate you very, very much. But as I always will say, nothing happens unless you do it now. So get after it. Do it now. God bless. We'll see you at the top.
Awesome.